Hello once again, everybody. We are still interviewing all the people who have submitted their names to be candidates for the Republican nomination for Spartanburg County Sheriff. As you see on your screen here, we're joined by Adam Crisp for this interview. Mr. Crisp, we thank you very much for talking to us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the invite.
As we've told folks, we're trying to ask very similar questions to each candidate, so maybe by giving each candidate the very same questions, you get the best idea of how they differentiate one another. Maybe you find the qualities that impress you as a candidate. So let's start with, boy, this is my softest softball, Mr. Crisp. It is also maybe the most important question. Why are you running for sheriff?
Yeah, so Spartanburg County is in a difficult time right now. I think everybody understands that intimately. But Spartanburg County needs to go into the future with a new vision and a fresh vision and real leadership to bring these deputies and these citizens transparency and accountability back to law enforcement. Law enforcement is moving in a younger generation right now, so they need a young, energetic leader to kind of lead them into the future, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
So let's talk about your background here. You are on the town council in Lyman still right now.
Yes, sir.
You've run for office before. So what are your specific qualifications that make you the best choice to be sheriff?
Yeah, so I mean, there's several qualifications. You know, I used to be a deputy sheriff in Spartanburg County. I served under Chuck Wright in the south side of Spartanburg. That area is a rough area, so you kind of earn your stripes very quickly. Moved to the private sector. Right now I'm the COO of 4 franchises right now of security, so we provide in-service security. We do all the security for District 5 schools. So all the officers that are in those schools protecting your children, that's our company. We go from Greenville, Spartanburg, Asheville to Knoxville. So we have a wide range of franchises. We have over 300 employees, so I'm directly over them. And leadership and disciplinary actions and pay and all that. Also, I'm the public chair of the Public Safety Committee at Lyman right now, so I directly oversee the pay and resources for the police department. During my tenure as chair since 2022, I have raised police pay 22%, which is unheard of, so that's a track record. A lot of candidates can say that they're going to do it, but I have a proven track record of raising law enforcement pay. Also, due to the resources and the funds that we have given the police department to combat criminal activity, Lyman is the 4th safest city in South Carolina. And we take very much pride in making sure that the citizens, their voices are heard and they can sleep at night knowing that the police are going to do their job.
Well, let's talk about the folks who are currently serving in the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office. What is your perspective on the current situation for the people who work there inside that office, and what are the changes that need to be made?
Yeah, so the deputies, I think, are being dragged through the mud, which is kind of unfair. These deputies work hard. They're out in the streets every day doing a job that if it was easy, everybody would do it. Their families, they have to leave their families at night, and I want to offer my support to them. These deputies, I understand the grind, the 12-hour grind of what they're going through. So these deputies do not need to take these direct attacks at an administration that had nothing to do with them. So the morale, and they need to pick up the morale, and they need to understand that they have a guy that has their back. Changes are ultimately going to be made. That's what happens when there is a chain of administration. But they don't need to feel any pressure. They don't need to feel any kind of concern about who the next leader might be and what their decisions are. They're going to directly affect them. We're going to make these deputies go out there and be proactive. Reactive policing is over. It's a new generation of policing, and there's going to be a new, fresh image leading these deputies into these neighborhoods, into this community, and making sure that we're seen. But these deputies need to understand that they're going to have a leader that understands exactly what they're going through.
Let me ask you about that. I am going to interject a non-standard question here about that answer. Tell us what you mean by reactive policing. Does that just mean waiting for a crime and going to it?
Yeah, so a majority of policing these days is more calls for service. You kind of wait for a call to be issued out and then you respond to it. We want to be more proactive. We want to be seen in the community. We want to be really effective in law enforcement, and that's just getting after it. Making sure that these neighborhoods see you doing these wellness checks, making sure that these neighborhoods are seeing you actually interacting with the community instead of just going call to call. It can be mundane. So we're going to bring a new energy and a new focus on productivity and being proactive instead of reactive. And I think every law enforcement officer wants to be proactive. It's just a circumstance that they're in, but they're going to know that their leader is going to encourage them to be proactive, and we're going to get after it. We're going to put criminals in jail. and we're going to do the right thing by the people.
A question about a very specific program that was a long-time staple of former Sheriff Wright. The interim sheriff has at least paused, if not suspended, Operation Rolling Thunder. Is that a good decision? Is that something you would continue if elected?
So Rolling Thunder, I think, in its day had its purpose. But now it's a new generation of policing, and we need to go another route. We don't need to outsource any deputies to come in and enforce the law in Spartanburg. We should up our ICE team, we should up our narcotics team, we should up our traffic team, and we should make sure that our deputies are feeling respected and they're not left out. So I think there's other avenues you can travel through that, but I think Rolling Thunder's days are over, and there's a new generation and a new way to kind of combat criminal activity in Spartanburg.
So are you suggesting similar operations with similar goals along the interstates, but just doing it more with county deputies instead of bringing these deputies?
So we're going to do it in-house. We're going to make sure our deputies get the credit for helping Spartanburg instead of outsourcing it. When you outsource stuff like that, there's a liability that the citizens of Spartanburg County undertake, and that liability is money. Because if there's a lawsuit, then the taxpayer has to pay that lawsuit. So we don't want any taxpayer to pay any more money than they have to. We want to insource it. We want to make sure our officers are interactive. We want to make sure all officers get the dedication and the process and everything that they're going through, and they get the kudos for doing their job nonstop.
The office of sheriff, it's a constitutional office. Mm-hmm. It is easily one of the most powerful positions in any county, maybe the most powerful in a lot of respects in each county. And in the 20 plus years I've been doing this, I can think of more than a dozen cases in South Carolina where that power has been abused and there has been trouble in that office. How do you assure the residents of Spartanburg County that if entrusted with that incredible power, you will not abuse it, that it will be used properly?
Well, you have to run your sheriff's office with, ethically, responsibility. And I know what you're talking about. There's been numerous sheriffs indicted, and they all have the same thing in common. It's longevity. So when you get comfortable in your job, mistakes happen, and that's just the way of life. But coming in with a new, fresh image and a new, fresh vision, they're going to understand that we're not going to play around, and we're going to be ethical at all times. We're going to treat people with dignity, and that's the way we're going to run our sheriff's office. We're going to be 100% transparent, and people are going to know what we're doing, good, bad, or ugly. But every day they're going to understand that we're going to be out there doing our job and making sure that Spartanburg County is the safest county in the state.
And this next question we ask every time, although I think you've addressed it a little bit. We'll ask it again, see if we can get more detail on it. But let's talk about your relationship that you have with folks who are deputies right now. I know you were one in the past, but the folks serving today, what is your relationship with those deputies, and what specific message, if one of them's watching this right now, talk to that deputy and what message do you have for them?
Yeah, so I have several deputies that, I keep in contact with. I understand what they're going through. They don't want to kind of outspeak right now because of the situation that they're in, and I respect that. But if they're listening and watching, they need to know that, I have their back, and they understand that there's going to be a new vision in Spartanburg, and they should be really pumped in what is coming in the future. So just hang tight.
And you are a member of a town council right now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Spartanburg's sheriff's office is closely tied to Spartanburg County Council. Mm-hmm. In many ways, among other things, they control the funding that you're getting at that sheriff's office. How would you describe your relationship with the Spartanburg County Council right now?
I believe I have a good relationship with them. I know a few of them by name. I've talked to a few of them. I think that kind of relationship is broken right now, and I think that it needs to be mended. But that comes with a new vision, and that comes with a new person at the helm. But it does need to be fixed. I mean, they have to understand that, we need to make Spartanburg safer, and they need to fund that. And they need to get on board with making sure that these people are protected. I mean, the most vulnerable need to be protected at all times. And if you handcuff the sheriff or handcuff the budget, you're not doing your citizens any justice. So, but that's a question, and that's a connection and relationships that I'm kind of really good at building. And that's something that we'll have to do in the future is mend that kind of broken relationship as it is now.
Since you said make Spartanburg County safer, is Spartanburg County safe right now?
No. Statistically, no, it's not safe. But we can make it we can make it safer. I have a proven track record. I made Lyman the fourth safest city in South Carolina, and you know, that says something. So Spartanburg can do it. We just have to be aligned in the same mission, and we have to be breathing the same air, and we have to make sure that we're out there getting it and being proactive instead of reactive, and we can stop a lot of this crime.
The Sheriff's Department budget, since we brought that up with the county council, what do you know about how the budget is right now, and how does the budget as it is right now align with the needs of that office?
So specifically the budget, I believe it's around $55 million is what they resource for the sheriff's office to have a budget. I know that they cut the sheriff's pay, and I made a vocal statement that if they're going to cut the sheriff's office pay, give it back to the deputies, because they're the ones that really need it. They need to have a moderate salary to raise a family on. But the budget needs to be tweaked a little bit. You can go in and have an external entity kind of audit, kind of like Doge kind of thing, and see what's being used properly and what's not being used, and that money can be directly given to the deputies as a pay raise instead of using it for paper and pen. You know, it's just a business-minded person would go in and make sure that the budget is run smoothly, and if there's anything that is being used on stuff that is not eradicating crime, then we put it towards the deputies and making sure that they're more resourced to go out there and outfit and do stuff.
Okay, a couple follow-ups on the budget. First of all, one of the items that came up in that budget conversation was the helicopters, the sheriff's office. Are those necessary equipment for the sheriff's office?
Yeah, so I don't think that we should need SLED or Greenville County to kind of give us air superiority. I think that we need the power of the bird because it's really hard for criminals to run from that. And I think it's useful and successful, but using it in the right way is what we're going to do. So yeah, helicopter is definitely needed in the county. It's just using it in the proper way.
And you mentioned the salary of the incoming sheriff. I mean, it's less than half now as what it was under the previous
Well, it's
sheriff.
the lowest paid sheriff in the state. Yeah.
It's a big
big
difference.
cut.
When you filed to run for this office, did you take that into account? I mean, you know, man's entitled to make a living.
No, yeah, I understand that. And, you know, in full transparency, I was taking a pay cut anyway, running for sheriff before he was even cut. So I'm taking even more of a pay cut. But you don't do this job for the money. You do it for the passion. And you do it because you understand that you have a servant's heart and you want to serve the people. And I want to make, ultimately, my children safer in Spartanburg. And I want to make my children proud to be from Spartanburg. So this is something that is innately in my character, is to help people. So it's not about the money. You know, money is great, you're right. I mean, it's materialistic. But what does the future look like? That's what we're aiming at.
And so the pay issues may be a little starker when it comes to deputies, especially new deputies. How does that impact the staffing levels at the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office? How does it impact at the detention center, which the new sheriff will also be responsible for? That is a continuous problem, the staffing level there.
Well, I think the pay at Spartanburg County has been a continuous problem for 13 to 15 years. So, you know, the establishment has failed us. You need a new person to come in with a new idea, new ways of making money, moving budgets around, having an idea of how to move a budget, how to get money from general funds and move it to another area so these deputies are paid. When I first started, I was making $27,000 a year. I think that was maybe $12 an hour. So as you can tell, the pay has always been very low. I think we're one of the lowest paid sheriff's office in the state, which is despicable. These deputies deserve better. And I have a proven track record of making sure that these police officers are respected and they're paid well. 22% raise in a year and a half is unheard of, and I'll do the same thing for these deputies because they deserve to be able to make a living instead of having to work 3 or 4 side jobs and never seeing their family just to pay their bills. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, we did a story a few years back where we found the starting salary for some police officers. If you got a couple of kids, you qualify for food stamps.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yep.
Is that the biggest step to addressing the staffing levels at a place like the detention center? Because it is understaffed. They're all understaffed.
Yeah,
but Spartanburg County is.
I think Spartanburg in a whole is really in a bad spot. And you know, just to be blunt, you know, I think that there needs to be changes everywhere. I mean, the jail is understaffed. The road deputies are understaffed. They're underpaid. They're overworked. You know, and the establishment that has been there, or other people that have been in law enforcement for 30 or 40 years, what changes have been made? And I'm just being honest. What changes have been made in 30 or 40 years? Experience, just because you have experience at a job doesn't mean you're the best person for experience for today. And we need somebody who has an outside look, understands budgets, understands what is really going on with the deputy. The median age of a deputy in Spartanburg right now is between 26 and 28 years old. They are going to look for a leader that has more attributes towards them and understands their living ability. I have 5 daughters under the age of 10 years old. I am not retired. I do not collect a pension. I work hard for everything that I'm going to do, and I'm going to work hard for these deputies. And they need to understand that help is on the way. But they need to get out and vote on August 5th and vote for a change.
Let's say you get elected. Let's say you win the primary. If there's a runoff, and there's a lot of candidates, so there's a good chance of a runoff, and the general election. You walk into office on day one, you're sworn in. What's order of business number one? You do it first.
Order of business is creating a dream team command staff that is going to be aligned in your vision of community service and being young and energetic and go-getters. That sheriff's office will be a well-oiled machine if you have a command staff that understands your alignment and your mission. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to be transparent. We're going to hold town halls quarterly, and we're going to make sure that these people understand that we know what they need to get done in their community. We're going to have weekly briefings with the news, so I invite you to come, and we're going to tell you the good, bad, and the ugly of what happened at the sheriff's office that week. That's the only way to be transparent. This world is going viral, so we have to be in front of the cameras all the time because people look at you to be transparent. We're going to assemble the dream team, and we're going to make sure that everybody is on the same level, and we're going to make sure that these deputies know that I have their back 1,000%. Do not be worried about micromanaged. Do not be worried about not doing your job and people looking at you in a different way. Understand, you go out there and you put bad guys in jail. That is your job, and you are good at it. Keep doing it.
It sounds like you're suggesting that if elected, you would shake up the command staff somewhat,
Yes.
that there would be real changes at the top. Is
Yes.
that something they should expect?
Well, I think any candidate, it's just like a presidential candidate. You know, their cabinet changes. You don't keep the cabinet from the old administration. I think that they understand that, and that's just common knowledge. But, you know, the command staff is going to be on the same level as them. They're going to be transparent. They're going to have open door policy, and there, of course, chain of command. There is that such thing. But we're going to have a chain of command that understands that they're going to have a young, energetic vision, and the old guard has changed. This is the new age of policing, and you're looking at it.
Let's come back to an issue you've mentioned a couple of times here, which is morale within the Spartanburg County Sheriff's Office. You're not the first candidate to come in here and say morale is very low in that office.
Sure.
Is it as simple as changing the person at the top? Is it just that the old administration's out and there's feelings tied to that, or is it something else?
No, you'll be very surprised about how morale can change when a good leader comes into the seat. Leadership starts from the bottom up, and to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. So you have to learn those attributes about leading. You have to listen to people. You have to get advice from your command staff. You can't just be a tyrant. You have to make sure that your command staff has that chain and has that kind of checks and balances where they can tell you, hey, you're going in this direction. We need to do this. This is the voice of UP. This is the voice of narcotics. You know, so yes, with a good leader, morale boost will be 1,000%. But also with a good leader, they're going to understand that they're going to have their deputies' backs. They're going to have the jailers' backs. They're going to have the administration. They're going to talk with council. We're going to get these pay raises. We're going to, you know, lead, and we're going to look at other jurisdictions and have great relationships with Greenville County, Anderson County, you know, jurisdictions around us. So we're going to all be team players, but it all changes at the head.
All right, I got a couple more things we got time for here.
Yeah.
First, in your experience as a deputy, you mentioned you work kind of a rough neighborhood.
Yeah.
Is there a particular experience you recall that shapes you as a law enforcement officer?
I think, to be blunt with you, it would be remiss if I was to talk about incidents that happened, because my time at the sheriff's office is no different than anybody else's. They all went through the same things that I did. The struggles of going to calls with children, or going to calls domestic violences, or going to shootings and murders. You know, the violence of policing can shake you to your core. But that's why these men and women who do this job should be commended and should be one of the most highest paid people and employee in the world. And if you look at it, and it's funny, the most highest paid people are usually politicians. And isn't that real funny? Is the politician is getting the most money, but the people who really put in the most work are the ones that are crapped on. So we're going to change that. And it doesn't matter if they pay me pennies to do this job. As long as the deputies get the credit, then Spartanburg County has a bright future, and we're going to do the right thing by them.
Now, we whisked through these prepared questions, so
There you go.
I'm going to give you this opportunity. You've got voters looking at you right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you look right at the camera.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to give you a question. Talk right to the voter right now and tell them why they should pick you out of 9 candidates on
Yeah.
their ballot.
So we understand that we're in a tough time right now, and we're all in this together. I'm a resident of Spartanburg County. My 5 children go to public schools just like yours does. I drop my kids off at school just like you. I'm a common man. But we have one thing in common. We all want safety. The establishment has failed us, and we need a new leader, and we need no ties, and we need somebody that's going to go in there and be unapologetically the police and make sure that you are taken care of. Understand one thing. When you drop your kids off at school, you shouldn't worry about their safety. You shouldn't worry about anything in the neighborhoods going on when you're sleeping. I'm going to put criminals on notice right now. If you're watching this, we're coming after you. Pack your bags, and you're going to be sleeping at California Avenue. And we're going to make sure that Spartanburg County is better. We're going to work with Trump hand in hand, and we're going to work with ICE and illegal immigration. We're not going to be apologetic about it. This is America, and this is what it's about. This is the land of the free for a reason. And we're going to make sure that you have the ability to do whatever you want to in Spartanburg, and we're going to make it safe again. But vote on August 5th for Adam Crisp for real change. Thank you.
All right, you just heard his name. That is Adam Crisp. He is one of 9 Republican candidates for Sheriff of Spartanburg County. Mr. Crisp, thank you for taking our questions.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.